Boys, today we discuss the concepts of electric field and electric field intensity. In previous classes, we discussed about Coulomb's law of electrostatics, which states that the electrostatic attraction or repulsion force between two charges is directly proportional to product of charges and is inversely proportional to square of distance between them, which acts along the line joining these two charges. Look at this. If both the charges are like charges, that means if both the charges are positive or both the charges are negative, then they repel each other. We know that like charges repel each other. And if one of the charge is opposite in nature, that means if one positive charge and another one negative charge, then they attract each other. We know this well. But in real practice, if we want to move a body, we need to either pull or push a body. But here, these two charges are not in contact with each other. Still, they exhibit either attraction or repulsion force, due to which the charges may move. How is it possible? Without any contact, how can a body move another body? That means, how can a body exhibit a force on another body? That can be understood by the concept of electric field and electric field intensity. So let's discuss that. These type of forces are known as non-contact forces. If we directly apply force on a body by touching it, then it is known as contact force. If there is no any touching between these two bodies, then those are known as non-contact forces. Gravitational force is also non-contact force. Similarly, electrostatic force is also non-contact force. So let's discuss how can a body exhibit force on another body without any contact with it. Here we are discussing about electrostatic forces. Let's understand this using the concept of electric field. Suppose, assume that we took a charge, capital Q, at a point in space. Assume that this is a point charge. This point charge modifies the space around it. It means that it creates some field in its surrounding. That means it will have its influence in its surrounding. Due to that influence, this body can exhibit force on another body. The modification of space is done by creating some electric field around this charged body. That means this charged body creates some field in its surrounding. Irrespective of the presence of another charge, this field exists. This field doesn't depend upon whether there is any another charge in its surrounding or not. Now, how do we know that there is a field present in the presence of field in the surrounding of this charge? How do we know that this charge created an electric field in its surrounding? That can be understood if we place another charge at any point in this space. If there is a field at this point, then definitely this charge experiences some force. If there is no field at this point, then it does not experience any force. Now, what we discussed, we already discussed that we took a charge capital Q at a point in space. So this charge created some field in its surrounding. It will have its own influence. In that field, we place another charge. Assume that this is as a test charge. A test charge is always positive in nature, and its magnitude should be very much smaller when compared with the given charge. Now we placed a test charge here. this test charge experience some force, that is repulsion force here, because both are positive charges. Test charge is always positive and we took the positive charge here. So this test charge experience a repulsion force due to the presence of field at this point, and that field is created by the given charge capital Q. Now if we place this test charge at a further point, it experiences less force. Similarly, if we place this test charge at a closer point, it experiences more force. It means that the force at a point in a field depends upon the distance of that point from the given charge. If we place the test charge closer to the given charge, then the force will be more. If we place the test charge at a farther point, the force will be less. That means the field intensity changes from one point to other point. That's why we need to define the electric field intensity at a certain point in space, because the magnitude of force experienced by the test charge at any point in space depends upon the distance of that point from the given charge. So electric field intensity can be defined like this. Electric field intensity at a certain point in space is equal to the force, that means the electrostatic force experienced by a test charge placed at that point. Once again, listen the definition. The electric field intensity at a certain point in space is equal to the electrostatic force experienced by a test charge placed at that point. So by using the basic concept of electric field intensity, we can derive its formula. See, we know the force between two charges. It is obtained by the formula F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square. If we need it in vector form, we can write F bar is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R square into R cap, where R cap is the unit vector which is in the direction of F bar, or F bar is in the direction of R cap. Now look at this diagram. Forget about these two. Take this diagram. In this diagram, we took a point charge capital Q at a point in space, and at a certain distance small r, we need to know the electric field intensity. For that, we need to place a test charge at that point, and we need to find the force experienced by that test charge at that point. So using this formula, we can find the electric field intensity. Look at this. The force between these two charges, capital Q and small q naught, is obtained like this. F bar is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q small q naught by R square into R cap. Now, according to the definition, E bar is equal to F bar by Q naught. So bring this Q naught on the other side, we get F bar by Q naught, which is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q by R square into R cap. According to the definition, this force experienced by the test charge is equal to electric field intensity at that point. So the electric field intensity is obtained by the formula 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q by R square into R cap, where R cap is the radially outward distance from the given charge to the point where the electric field intensity is obtained. Now see, if the given charge is positive charge, the direction of electric field intensity is outward because the force experienced by the test charge will be radially outward. Similarly, if the given charge is negative charge, then test charge is positive, so it will be attracted towards the given charge. That means the electrostatic force between these two charges will be radially inward like this, not outward. So the electric field intensity will also be radially inward. That means always the direction of electric field intensity will be in the direction of force experienced by the given test charge placed at a certain point in an electric field. So we understood the concept of electric field and the electric field intensity, obtained the formula to find out the electric field intensity at a certain point in space. As we know that the electrostatic force between the given charge capital Q and the test charge small q naught is always a vector. That means electrostatic force is a vector. That's why the electric field intensity is also a vector. As it is a vector, it possesses both magnitude and direction. To get a clear picture of electric field intensity, we can use the concept of electric field lines. So let's see the definition of electric field line first. Electric field line is an imaginary line or curve along which a positive test charge would tend to move in an electric field. That means, suppose assume that there is an electric field, it is in a certain space, and we placed a test charge at a certain point in that field. If that test charge is left freely, it would tend to move in a certain direction in that field. That imaginary direction, if we draw it as a line or a curve, then that is known as electric field line. So here I have shown the electric field lines at a certain point in space. Electric field lines may be uniform or non-uniform. Let me explain the electric field lines, uniform electric field lines and the non-uniform electric field lines. Look at these diagrams. In these diagrams, see the first diagram. In this first diagram, if we observe, the magnitude of each electric field line is same. That means the length is same, direction is same, and they are equally spaced. That means the gap between any two successive field lines is same. If we obtain the electric field lines like this, then we say that that electric field in that space is uniform. These parallel and equally spaced electric field lines indicates the uniform electric field. So the properties of uniform electric field will be shown like this. Here the magnitude of electric field lines will be same in uniform electric field, direction of electric field lines will be same, and they will be equally spaced. If they are not equally spaced, then that is non-uniform field. If they are not having same magnitude, then also that is non-uniform magnetic field. If they have different directions, then also that is non-uniform magnetic field. So for a uniform magnetic field, the electric field lines will have same magnitude same direction and equally spaced. If we consider 2 points, look at this, x and y. In this field, in this uniform field, the electric field intensity at point x is always equal to electric field intensity at point y. So uniform electric field, in uniform electric field, the electric field intensity is same at every point in it. Now look at this diagram, second diagram. Here the field lines are diverging, that means they are moving away from each other in forward direction. That means this is non-uniform electric field because they are not equally spaced, they are in different directions, they have different magnitudes also here, or if even though they have same magnitude, that means same length, they are in different directions and they are not equally spaced. So this is non-uniform electric field. Here the point, we took 2 points here, x and y. One point is in a region where the field lines are crowded, and another point is taken where the field lines are spaced outward. That means they are spared, they are away from each other. Here if we observe where the electric field intensity in the region where the field lines are dense, field lines are crowded, is more than the electric field intensity where the electric field lines are away from each other, that means spared. Here look at this, that means Ex is greater than Ey. We are talking about only magnitude here because the electric field intensity at these 2 points, direction of electric field intensity at these 2 points may not be same. That's why we are talking about only magnitude. Magnitude of electric field intensity is more in the dense region and less in less dense region. Look at the third diagram. In this third diagram also indicates the non-uniform electric field only. Here the field lines are curved, you can see that they are moving in a radially, they are not moving in radially outward direction as shown in this second figure. This is also non-uniform electric field. So look at this, in this region the electric field lines are dense, so the electric field intensity will be more here. In this region the electric field lines are away from each other, so electric field intensity will be less here. We are talking about only magnitude. Now if we take a point charge, the electric field lines will be either radially outward or radially inward depending upon the nature of the point charge. If it is a positive charge, look at this, if it is a positive charge the electric field lines will be radially outward. Why? Because if we place a test charge here, we know that test charge is always positive, it will be repelled by the given positive charge, so it moves radially outward. That's why the electric field lines for a positive test charge or a positively charged spherical body will be radially outward. And if we take a negatively charged body or a negative charge, point charge, the field lines will be radially inward, because if we place any test charge here, test charge is always positive, we should take positive charge as test charge. This is negative charge, so negative charge attracts the test charge. We know that unlike charges attract each other. So the field lines will be radially inward for a negative charge or negatively charged spherical body. Now I will show you some more diagrams, ray diagrams. In that you get a clear picture of understanding the concept of electric field intensity. Now look at this first diagram. Here we have taken 2 positive charges. As we know that the field lines are outward from the positive charge and inward from the negative charge. Here both are positive charges, so the field lines are outward. But they are not radially outward because these two charges repel each other. During the repulsion, the field lines bend outward. That means the field lines also do not try to intersect with each other. Laterally, they always move away from each other. Look at this. Here, these two field lines are in the same direction, downward direction, so they are moving away from each other. Here also, these two field lines are in the same direction, upward direction, they are moving away from each other. That's why here all the field lines are bent outward in outward direction. Here there is a possibility of obtaining a neutral point, null point. Null point means the point where the net electric field intensity is zero. It can be obtained between these two like charges. That means between two positive charges, the field lines are radially, they repel each other, and we can obtain the null point. Similarly, if we take two negative charges, then also we may obtain the null point in the space between these two charges. Null point means neutral point. Neutral point is the point where the net electric field intensity is zero. That means that no electric field lines exist at the region where the electric field intensity is zero. Look at this, in this region, at this point, null point or neutral point, the electric field lines are absent. Between two positive charges or between two negative charges, we always obtain a neutral point. Here, these two are like charges, that's why the field lines are bent outward from each other. Now look at this second diagram. In this second diagram, one charge is positive and another charge is negative, and as we know that from the positive charge the field lines are outward, and from the on the negative charge the field lines are inward. So all the field lines on the negative charge which are incidenting on the negative charge, see that the direction of field lines is inward only. But if we take the positive charge, from the positive charge the field lines are outward. Every field line should be outward. Now look at this. Here the field lines are emerged from the surface of the positive charge and ends on the surface of the negative charge. This is because, look at this, laterally field lines merge with each other. Look at this. If the field is strong, then this field line merge with this one like this. Merge with this one like this. Similarly, this field line may merge with this one like this. Laterally, field lines merge with each other. Okay, parallelly, field lines move away from each other. And remember one more point. Field lines always originate from the surface of the positive charge and ends on the surface of negative charge. Inside the conductors, the field lines doesn't exist. Inside the conductors, field lines doesn't exist because charge doesn't exist inside the conductors. I mean free charges. The charges always resides on the surface of the bodies, conducting bodies. So the field lines originate from the surface of the positive charge and incident on the or ends on the surface of the negative charge. That means these field lines are not closed loops. They are not a closed loops. Inside their field lines do not exist. They are not closed loops. Remember that. And the field lines, if the field lines are closer to each other, that means the field intensity is more, the density of field lines will be more, that's why the field intensity is more. If the field lines are away from each other, it means that the field intensity is less because the field density is less. Field lines density is less. Now see the third diagram. In this third diagram, we took a positively charged sphere and a negatively charged, uniformly charged negative plate here, a straight plate. Then look at this, while as we know that from the positive charge field lines emerge outward, but on the surface of negative charge the field lines ends on, that means incidence on it. If we observe, this parallel plate, I mean plane sheet, has a uniform charge on it, that means the charge spreads uniformly on its surface. That's why the field lines are at a point closer to it are parallel to each other. Look at this, these are parallel field lines, but from the surface of the positive charge the field lines emerge outward. See that that indicates the non-uniform electric field because they are moving away from each other. They are moving away from each other because it is a charged sphere. This is a plane sheet of charge having uniform charge density. That's why while incidenting on it, the field lines became parallel to each other. Now look at this fourth diagram. In this diagram, we took a positively uniformly charged positive charged plate and a uniformly charged and negatively charged plate. So between these two charged plates, we obtained a uniform field. Look at this, the field line's length is same, direction is same from positive to negative, and they are equally spaced. So this is a uniform electric field. In this way, we can draw the field lines for any kind of electric field. Let us review the concepts of electric field once again. We discussed that the electric field intensity at a certain point in an electric field is equal to the force experienced by a test charge placed at that point. That means, suppose assume that we took a point charge capital Q at a point in space. If we want to know the electric field intensity at a certain point, which is at a distance small r from the given charge, then we should place a test charge, that means a very small unit value positive charge. As we have taken the positive charge capital Q, due to this positive charge the test charge will be repelled outward with a force F bar. This force per unit test charge is known as electric field intensity at that point P. If we take a negative charge and assume that we placed a test charge at some another point which is at a distance smaller from the given negative charge minus Q, then if we want to know the field intensity at this point, we should place a test charge at that point. This test charge will be attracted by the given negative charge towards itself. F bar will be towards the given charge. So this force per unit test charge is the electric field intensity at this point due to the negative charge minus Q. We get the formula of electric field intensity like this: F bar by Q naught, which is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q by R square into R cap. For positive charge, you can take the unit vector as R cap. For negative charge, it comes like this: F bar by Q naught, which is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q by R square into minus R cap. As we know that R cap indicates the positive direction, let us suppose that r cap is in this direction. So look at this, the force due to the positive charge on the test charge is in the direction of r cap. That's why we have taken F bar in the direction of r cap in the first case. And in the second case, the force due to the negative charge on the test charge is opposite to r cap. That means in the direction of minus r cap. That's why we took F bar in the direction of minus r cap. That means the electric field intensity due to a positive charge is radially outward, and the electric field intensity due to a negative charge is radially inward. Magnitude of electric field intensity is always obtained in Newton per Coulomb. Its SI unit is Newton per Coulomb or volt per meter. Newton per Coulomb or volt per meter or joule per Coulomb meter. This is the SI unit. These are the SI units. And we know that electric field intensity is a vector quantity. Its direction in the field created by the positive charge is outward, radially outward, and its direction in the field created by negative charge is radially inward. Now let us discuss the relation between electric field and electric force experienced by a charge placed in the electric field. Boys, we need to discuss one more point. See, the electric field intensity at a certain point in space is obtained by the formula 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught capital Q by r square into r cap. This is the formula to find out electric field intensity in free space. Suppose we need to find the electric field intensity at a point in a medium, then we get the formula as E bar is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon capital Q by r square into r cap. This is in a medium where epsilon is the permittivity of given medium, and it can also be written like this: 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught k Q by r square into r cap, where k is equal to relative permittivity or dielectric constant. It is known as a relative permittivity. Or dielectric constant. Remember, we want to find the electric field intensity at a certain point in free space, then we get epsilon naught. And if we want to find out the electric field intensity at a certain point in a medium, then we should take epsilon. Epsilon naught is the permittivity in free space, epsilon is the permittivity in a medium. Epsilon can be written as epsilon naught into epsilon r or k, epsilon naught k, where k or epsilon r is known as the relative permittivity or dielectric constant. Now let's come to this concept, relation between electrostatic force and electric field intensity. Suppose assume that we have a uniform electric field at a certain region in space. If we place a positive point charge, small q, positive point charge in this electric field, it always experiences force in the direction of electric field. It always experiences force in the direction of electric field. Here it can be written like this: F bar is equal to Q into E bar. because as per the definition of electric field intensity, E bar is equal to F bar by Q naught. So we get F bar is equal to Q naught into E bar. In the place of Q naught, we took plus Q here, so we get F bar is equal to Q into E bar. See that the force experienced by a positive charge placed in an electric field is always in the direction of electric field. Similarly, now if we place a negative charge in this field, it always experiences force opposite to the direction of electric field. It always experiences force opposite to the direction of electric field. That means we get F bar as minus Q into E bar. As we know that negative indicates opposite direction, that means the force experienced by a negative charge placed in an electric field is always opposite to the direction of electric field. It is always opposite to the direction of electric field. Look at this, the force experienced by a positive charge placed at a certain point in an electric field is always in the direction of electric field. Force experienced by a positive charge is in the direction of electric field. Similarly, if we place a negative charge at a certain point in an electric field, then it always experiences a force in opposite direction of the electric field. Force experienced by a negative charge will always be in opposite direction to the electric field. See the arrow marks. That's why force experienced by a positive charge F bar is obtained as Q into E bar. Force experienced by a negative charge is obtained as F bar equal to minus Q into E bar. Let's apply the principle of superposition on electric field. Suppose, assume that there are some n number of charges in a certain region, like this Q1, Q2, Q3 and so on Qn. Assume that we need the electric field intensity at point P due to all these charges. See, every charge will have its own electric field in its surrounding. That means at point P we will have the electric field due to charge Q1, and we will have the electric field due to charge Q2, electric field due to charge Q3 and so on, and electric field due to charge Qn also. That means if we have n charges in a certain region, in that region at any point we will have n number of electric fields. So if we want to know the net electric field intensity at a given point P, we should apply principle of superposition on electric field. Principle of superposition states that the net electric field intensity at a certain point is always equal to the vector sum of electric field intensities at that point due to all the charges present in that region. So net electric field intensity E net bar is equal to E1 bar plus E2 bar plus E3 bar plus and so on plus En bar. As we have n number of charges, due to each charge the electric field exists at point P. That's why the net electric field intensity will be equal to the vector sum of all the electric field intensities created at that point. So it can also be written like this, as we know that E1 bar is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. This is common for everyone, every field. That's why I am taking it common into Q1 by R1 square into R1 cap. This represents the electric field intensity due to the charge Q1. Similarly, due to charge Q2, we get Q2 by R2 square into R2 cap plus Q3 by R3 square into R3 cap plus and so on plus Qn by Rn square into Rn cap. Observe this. This is similar to the principle of superposition of electrostatic forces. In it, we obtain the formula like this: F net is equal to F1 bar plus F2 bar plus F3 bar plus and so on plus Fn bar. Its formula in extended form is obtained like this: 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q by R1 square R1 cap. That means like this. At the point P, if we place another charge Q, then the force experienced by this charge due to all the remaining charges, n number of charges, is obtained like this: 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q by R1 square into R1 cap, Q2 Q by R2 square into R2 cap, Q3 Q by R3 square into R3 cap, and Qn Q by Rn square into Rn cap. That means it is obtained like this: Q1 Q, Q2 Q, Q3 Q, Qn Q. So we can take Q common. We get Q by 4 pi epsilon naught into say Q1 by R1 square into R1 cap plus Q2 by R2 square into R2 cap plus Q3 by R3 square into R3 cap plus and so on plus Qn by Rn square into Rn cap. This one can simply be written like this: is equal to Q into E net bar. What does it mean? If we observe, this is E net bar. E net bar. E net bar is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 by R1 square into R1 cap plus Q2 by R2 square into R2 cap plus Q3 by R3 square into R3 cap plus and so on plus Qn by Rn square into Rn cap. Observe that Q1 by R1 square into R1 cap plus Q2 by R2 square into R2 cap plus Q3 by R3 square into R3 cap plus and so on plus Qn by Rn square into Rn cap. This whole thing including 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught is equal to E net. Only Q is left here. That's why we can write F net is equal to Q into this whole thing is E net. Q into E net. Or it can be shown like this also. Look at this. F net is equal to Q into E1 bar plus Q into E2 bar plus Q into E3 bar and so on plus Q into En bar. So if we take Q common, we get E1 bar plus E2 bar plus E3 bar plus and so on plus En bar. That's it, boys. This is about the principle of superposition of electric field and electrostatic force. Mostly we apply some techniques to solve the problems using principle of superposition. We don't use the formula directly like this. That you will understand while we discussing the numericals in the next classes. Okay.